But then the problem in India is the governments change very often, and the history also changes whenever the government changes. There was an attempt during 90s and early 2000, 2004, 2005 to change the textbooks, to change the syllabi. But then soon the governments changed and everything came back to square one. So this is one problem. The agreement, unlike in the West, there is an agreement, basic agreement, regardless of the political affiliations, of a narrative of a history, a particular narrative of a history, which we don't have in India. We have an alternative narrative which challenges the, challenging the one that is actually traditional. The Indian history, the ancient Indian history upholds. So we have a Marxist narrative, we have a leftist narrative, we have a liberal or post-modern narrative, subaltern narrative. So they keep changing the textbooks every 5 years, 10 years.
So it requires that we have to acknowledge we have an identity problem. We have to acknowledge that the Indian student cannot get a healthy identity with what is being taught today in the class. If today, like you correctly said, if the sociological models in NCERT books are talking about oppressor, oppressed, who oppressed whom, who's the victim, and so on. If the student in the class is told that that student sitting in the first bench, he's responsible, his ancestors are responsible for your poverty, how is he going to have any kind of positive feelings towards that student? When you cannot even have unity in the classroom because of this identity politics, then where is the question of national unity? So it's up to the government to realize what is our identity. What is it that we want to teach our children? For example, United States, they control their identity very tightly. They have the story of American exceptionalism that is taught to students right from the beginning. They are not going to allow any Marxist to come and rewrite their history for them, or some Britisher to write their narrative for them. Americans are doing that. Proud American intellectuals are doing that. Same thing in China. Proud Chinese intellectuals are writing their history. They're not going to let a Britisher write their version. Yes. In India, we don't have ownership. So I think it requires at least an ordinance or a constitutional change where we say this is our identity as Indians. We need to connect to the ancient Bharatiya civilization because that is the reality of who we are. I don't care if this country has got many people of different faiths, and to accommodate them, I'm not going to talk about my culture. That is the stupidest thing I've heard. Because this is a reality. Just because we talk about the reality of Bharatiya civilization does not undermine the other person's identity. If he wants a religious identity behind closed doors, please have it. But then your ancestors are also participants in this Bharatiya culture, Bharatiya civilization. Why don't we tell the truth about that? What is so-called saffron or any of this? These are ridiculous labels that are put to undermine and to reject the Indian civilization.
మా వేకప్ ఇండియా .tv లేటెస్ట్ అప్డేట్స్ ముందుగా మీకు రావాలనుకుంటే సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. అలాగే పక్కనున్న బెల్ ఐకాన్ను క్లిక్ చేస్తే ఆల్, పర్సనలైజ్డ్, నన్ అనే ఆప్షన్స్ వస్తాయి. అందులో ఆల్ అనే ఆప్షన్ పై క్లిక్ చేయండి.